Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Justin and
Max.
and this is Justin and Max Games, and we've been on a little bit of a hiatus regarding our reviews, but we're back and stronger than ever with the game.
AquaSphere.
AquaSphere is a game by we're doing a pre-throwing. This is a game by Stefan Feld. We just finished a 3-player game. I had played a 2-player game with my wife a few days ago, and Max just learned the game a couple hours ago. And what's your feelings?
I'm saying it's just gonna say it right now. It's a good game.
It's a good game.
Definitely gonna say that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because I only tried it with 3 players, but you said that it was a lot better with 3 than 2.
Yeah, it's a lot better with 3 than 2, in my estimation.
And I could see how that would work because it's a lot tighter. And there's actually a couple cards that are a little confusing, but.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the cards in a second. When I played with my wife. The game still forces you to put in a neutral player or 2 neutral players, so that and we're not going to go through the rules of the game, but the submarines, which you have to put out in order to open up more spaces on your board to score points, and the submarines become more expensive to put out using the only real currency in the game, which are these time. Yeah, time.
I guess it just takes time.
It just takes time. Yeah, I guess you have to walk around the room and all this kind of stuff. I don't know why it takes time. I guess the submarines have to launch or something. But
you have to build the submarines, probably.
Right. But it's predictable where they're going to go out because of the countdown mechanism in the game. You know where the submarines are going to come out the next round. When you're playing with 3 players, well, someone might just jump in and take one of the submarine spots a little bit earlier. And every single time marker is valuable. It's critical in my estimation. You love the time markers. There were a couple games. Let's bring out Luna. Now we're definitely a Stefan Feld fan. My favorite game is Bora Bora, by far. And the one thing that I love this game, I really like it a lot. The fact that the 2-player doesn't play quite as well. There's a big distance between 2 and 3 in my estimation. That's what makes me a little bit less enthusiastic. I love when games they play with the same kind of intensity.
With different players.
With different player counts. It might feel differently.
But same amount of intensity.
Exactly. This one definitely felt more intense with you in the game. Not just because you're
It's okay if it's more intense. It's just not good if with a certain number of players, it's just not fun, just too unintense.
It was a little, I felt a little bit too much if I knew if Erica was over on this side of the board and I'm over on here and it's a lot to spend to get over there, I just knew that this side of the board was kind of mine and I didn't worry as much regarding tightness. Also, the fact that you get so many points for having majority of these control spaces.
A lot more points because my first game I didn't really know that was so many points. I'm 6 points, eh. But I didn't realize that the total points over the entire game was 50.
We got
or 75.
50, 75. Our final score was 50, 60, 75. Yeah. 75, 80 in our 3-player.
6 points is actually a lot when you think about it.
Especially if you keep on getting that every round.
And then a very interesting aspect that I've never seen in any other game is on this point track there's laser locks. I
call them laser locks. I'm going to call them laser locks.
And that the laser locks are if you get points, if you get to a laser lock, you can't move on and get any more points unless you spend one of these things.
Yeah, this is like the crystal. This is the scientific expedition in the game. You're trying to dig up these crystals. Just flew out. Yeah, the fact that you need that in order to go beyond, except at the end of the game. Now you can.
It's I just need and I'm you get 20 points. I don't have any gems. You get 1 point.
Unless you have a programmed guy.
That you could give
up. You can give up a
program.
Kind of it's a waste, but if you don't have the gem, and I had to do that one turn, and I lost a couple of points on it. Building up your laboratory
is actually a lot more points than I thought there was.
Yes, and
you were able to get it complete with everything.
I got it all around.
So you got 26 points, and you're it's Dad wins. And you're I don't really know, and you're wait, I get 26 points. Oh, I think I do win then.
I do feel now that was a little bit of a detraction to me in the game. In the 3-player game, I kind of played the poorest in terms of what was going on the board. I was almost the entire game, behind everyone by about 10 points or so. I wasn't getting rid of enough of these little octopod guys. I kept on getting pushed back here. I couldn't build up enough of my submarines later on in the game. And I just kept on, everyone was doing better than me. But I kept on just ticking away at the lab. And then the lab also allows you to put one of your control bots out into the letter that it is. And just because of the luck, where the tiles came up and what I had in terms of clocks to spend, it just worked out perfectly for me.
You were able to fill it up with A, B, C, D, E, F.
And
that's 21 points plus 5, so 26 points.
I know. I felt it was a little bit, I don't know, even though I did win the game because of that. I felt,
Cheater!
I did feel it was a little bit too much. I felt like just that big bonus. And in fact, the first game that we played, you weren't there when Mom and I played. That's what she won with, was having the different lettered spaces built. So, but I do find it fun that you're really working on 3 areas at the same time. You're working on the main board, and I think the size of it can also make it feel like it's the most important place. You're working on your lab, which is small, but it can give you little bits of benefits. Your lab seems to be falling apart there. Actually, 4 spaces, because you're also worried about your player board, your player mat, which shows
Which
you...
actually is one of the more important things.
Right, regulating, well, where are my spaces going to be? How many do I have open here? I'm only going to get as many points as submarines are out. And things keep on getting bumped back onto your board because of these holding rooms. So if it prevents you from using one area too much. I do think that the iconography on the cards...
Yes, and just a lot of things, they make it all, like, mechanized, and a lot of times it's just distracting, and just because like there's only like one bit of different, like there's only like 2 things that you actually need on this card.
Right, and there's all this sorts of design going on around it, and sometimes the cards are a little bit, you have to keep on looking back in the book to know exactly what it is. I understand that they want to make the game language independent, so it doesn't say on the card. By the way, we got this as a used game. We rarely get used games. We buy almost all of our games new. But someone went ahead and sleeved the technology cards.
If you're watching this and you were the guy that sold them like this, shout out to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that. And an extra little part of the game that I didn't even know about, it comes with a few blanks. So I guess Dominion did this too. A couple of Dominion games, they came with a few blanks. I don't know anyone that's ever done anything with them.
We should do one.
We should make a Dominion card. We used to do some for fun. But these come with blanks, and I could see some ideas that you could, well, this comes out and you can get it. You know, I brought out these 2 games. Can you bring up the other one too?
And the other one was Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I don't believe you've played Notre Dame.
I did not.
But you've played Luna, and we did a review of Luna and all that.
Go watch it.
Yes, definitely. We'll put a link below. Stefan Feld games, I know a lot of people say that they're themeless. But Bora Bora, I do feel like I'm expanding my family group and getting huts and getting the right materials to build the huts and going to get out to the temples. I do feel that...
And AquaSphere definitely feels very aqua-like.
Aqua-like, yeah. You got the octopods or octopus. I don't know why they call them octopods, but whatever. The octopi are coming out, and you do feel, even the artwork on all the tiles, I think, is very apropos. Because they even show like an opening where the crystals are coming in from. So you feel like, this area just got some crystals. Let me go and grab them. I do think, though, if I have to say, they're very close to your robots. The robots and the octopi look almost identical.
Going through this game, I actually thought there was a purple player.
So did I, yeah.
Closer.
Yeah. The game is very colorful, and sometimes the colors can't... Since the player colors, I have a few negatives.
Because the yellow player is very close to the time action. The red player is very close to the science advancement. Technology one. White is very close to the programmer, and blue is very close to the submarine.
Yeah, I really do feel like the meeples
should be like completely different colors.
Yeah, I mean, the black crystals could have been clear, and maybe one color of a player is black, one's like gray, one's brown. I don't know.
That does seem kind of close, though.
Yeah, I know. It just seems like there's so many colors on the board, and sometimes it can get, especially because you're looking at submarines.
There's almost no dark colors.
There's almost no, and they're all this very kind of not pastel, but very brilliant, kind of colors.
Vivid.
They're vivid, exactly. Now, there are some mechanisms, and we were going to get back to talking about a little bit how Stefan Feld games can kind of sometimes seem similar to one another. And in Notre Dame, one of the main mechanisms in Notre Dame is that you have sectors, and depending on how many people you have in your sector, in each of the little sectors, means how powerful that action is. In this game, dependent on your lab, how many actions you've expanded your lab to be means how many actions you could do out on the board. So at the beginning, everyone is the same. You can get rid of 2 octopi, get 2 black crystals, get 2 cards, get 4... Or you could expand it so that when you do the action, you actually can be more powerful with your action if you time it out right.
Or just one little negative is I wish with like these starting ones.
Yeah.
Like I understand how there's a little bit of difference with the letter that you start with.
Right.
But I wish the starting resource maxes were different.
Yeah, yeah.
Based off of your letter.
I totally agree with you.
Because I started with F, and F starts you with a gem miner. And I wish that one maybe had more slots for holding gems.
Brilliant!
But less spots for octopi.
Yes, exactly. That there was a little bit of asymmetricality that interlocked the places you start with the lab that you start. So it maybe, because these come out randomly, that it maybe directs you a little bit, just pushes you in a different strategic way. We just played, you haven't played it yet, Gaia Project. Gaia Project, you start off with completely different stuff, basically, than everyone else. I mean, generally the same ideas, but very different. So your direction and how you think is different. Here, we're all thinking more or less the same.
But AquaSphere is different from a lot of other Stefan Feld games. Or there's a little bit of in Luna, because in the track, where you can see what's coming up next, there's a lot of seeing into the future in this game. Like, I reach over here.
Yeah.
In the center tile, you can see around the edges, those are the different things that will go to those spaces.
Just so you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Those are the different things that will go to each space.
So you see what's coming up next round, so you can prepare where you're going to be.
Octopus will go there and whatever. So like if you're in a space with a couple, and then there's like 2 more going to that space.
You might want to get out of there.
You might either want to get out of there or be ready for an action.
Oh, right, get ready for an action to get rid of the octopi. There's a lot of ways of squeaking out a couple of extra kind of turns. You could spend 3 of your time markers if you don't want to move. That's really painful. But that allows you to program a robot for free.
For free?
Well, not for free, but without moving on the
and get
engineer board.
For free.
The fact that you could see, you could see what the spaces that are going to come out next round there.
That's actually a very interesting mechanism. I've never seen that in any other game.
You're moving forward.
Like, moving forward in different directions. And how you can see the order of where they'll be.
Next round, right.
Like, if you get a octopus, then you'll never get a gem that round.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Using this.
Right, using that pattern, you got to make some choices of where you're going to go. So that's where the technology cards, I think, really come into play, because you're trying to connect the technology with the route that you're taking. The way I played, I almost never programmed, in this last game, I almost never programmed, I don't think I ever programmed, the gem idea.
I programmed like once, but it wasn't from that.
It wasn't from that. It was because the technology cards I had gave you a gem for programming something else. Did. But I was always low on gems. I still think that there's just too many points for completing the lab.
It's way...
it's a little bit...
Because you were like 20 points behind us, and you lost points because you didn't have a gem.
Yeah.
And you're like, and 30 points I win.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise at the end. I almost feel like there's 2 winning... Like, you win the regular part of the game, and then you win the final game. But in Bora Bora, every round you replace the people that are available on the board. You replace the bonus tiles for the end round bonuses. And here, every round you refill the various technology cards. You refill all of the expansion cards.
What is interesting though is how you just like place them on top. So if
they don't get replaced.
Someone else can get that.
Right. So you're looking also like. I mean, I got very nervous towards the end of my game.
I want that one.
I wanted to get one of these green tiles, but I had no clocks to spend to get anywhere else. So if someone swooped in and got the area that I needed... Oh, you know what? There are so many great things to think about in the game. The Luna felt a little bit similar in the sense that...
There's like different sectors.
Right, and you're getting the different sectors, and you just have like a couple people, you take one on, you put one off, and then you get this one action, and then there's majority scoring at the end of every round, and the guy keeps on going forward. I think there's, 6 rounds in that game? This one, there's only 4.
With a lot of Stefan Feld games, there's limited rounds.
Right.
But you could do as much as you can in each round.
Pushing a little extra action is huge.
It's always nice. It's always a nice feeling when they're like, I pass. They're like, I'll do this action, then this action.
Right.
Keep going for a
That's what happened with Mom. We both were in the passing situation.
And she was
we had
able to
nothing
do another 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm. So then she didn't worry about she would be last player the next round, but at the same time
she would have 3 extra actions with no one stealing anything from
her. And then there's I spoke a little bit about how there's a little bit of similarity with this one, a little bit of Border, but it feels different enough to me, especially with 3 players. We haven't played before, obviously, yet, where it doesn't feel like any of his other games specifically. You can see how a lot of other things. I don't 100% understand why clocks are the currency in the game.
Because what I was thinking is because since we're in like an underwater AquaSphere, you have limited oxygen, so you only have limited time with your oxygen tank.
That makes sense to me, especially when you're spending more time to go out later with a submarine, because now maybe time is short. But here, the one part that I found is a little bit disconnect with the time markers was, let's say I'm here, and it spends me 2 time to go here, and it spends me 1 time
There's
to go
a
here.
lock on it, and one of them's harder than the other one.
One takes a little bit longer time?
And then one's just left open.
Yeah, I won't be too picky about it. I mean, that's such a minor thing.
You
And I
said,
like these
4
clock
different
markers.
currencies?
Yeah, exactly. But overall, regardless of the kind of overwhelming color, the game works in such an interesting way that you're thinking about 4 different areas. You're thinking about your lab. You're thinking about your player board. You're thinking about that. I do also think that your main character on the board
too
similar to the robots.
So
And
like he fell over, and I had no idea where he was. Like he was like this, and I'm like.
I'm sure there's some kind of exquisite edition of this, but I could see replacing the exquisite or the advanced editions of these things. I could see replacing some of these with like bigger, taller, easier to kind of find. The game is not too hard to teach.
No, it's actually not. I learned it very quickly.
Yeah, once Mom and I got the basic idea, there's really only a couple things you could do. You program, you do the action, or you pass. You could squeeze out a little bit more by spending your markers to go around or to get another action, but that's ultimately it. I'm rating the game at an 8.
I'm actually,
I'm going to guess what you are. I think you're at an 8.5.
I was going to think maybe around there. I was thinking of 8.5. But I like the game on 8. But I think the theme just bumps it up another half point.
I thought the theme would really connect with you too. Max is a huge fan of anything aquatic. Am I right?
As you could tell in my top 10 video.
Yeah.
It's a lot about the theme for me. It just like the game's supposed to be good for me to like it. But the theme just really like brings me into the experience.
Have you ever played a bad dinosaur game?
No.
And I do like the fact that there's aggression, kind of like this kind of mild aggression in players. You're just
like,
bumping.
I'm gonna get that first.
I'm gonna bump you out, but no one's dying in the game. There's no there's no one scientists running around shooting other scientists.
Oh my god!
And you're just flushing these octopus guys out of the thing. You're not killing anything. I do like that, and I do like that you're doing science. Hey, a game about scientific research and investigation. How could that, and trying to be the best researcher, how could that be bad in any way, shape, or form? The game also goes pretty fast. I think when we played, it was maybe about, for 3 players, it was maybe about 90 minutes or so, about an hour and a half. And that was about, that. It felt also the right amount of time. So are you also, you're an 8.5 or ish?
I'm an 8.5. Yes.
I'm an 8. So I'm
8.25?
I think 8.25 is a very good place.
8.25 is the official Justin and Max rating of AquaSphere.
Ah! Ah! Ah!